Today we are doing a guide on the best champions for solo queue in all lanes. Let's start off with the top lane. Darius is one of the absolute monsters in the top lane right now. You are going to be running Ghost Blast on Darius, and then your goal is to push in the wave. As the wave is coming back towards you, you will always be able to run down the opponent. There's not much the opponent can do once you first get to him. If you mess up one single ability, if you move slightly wrong, you Q him, you auto him, you W him, and then you just run him down, you get your 5 stacks, your ultimate, and he's dead. There's nothing he can do. Then he's about to escape, you pull him right back. For example, Darius is amazing at stopping a Camille jump, the hook shot. He's really good against Shen, because if Shen turns away, you can just hook him back in. He's good against most champs in the top lane. And Darius is honestly the one I would put as the #1 top laner for solo queue, especially the lower elo you get. So the higher you get, the worse he gets, but he's still extremely strong in Challenger, which means if you go down to Grandmaster, he's even better, Master, he's even more superior, and then so on and so on. Alright, and the next champ we have is going to be Camille. Now the reason I put Camille as one of the best top laners is because she is incredibly strong, but the problem is she's very hard to play, and if you don't play her properly, you will end up flat and do absolutely nothing, which sucks, right? But if you play her a lot, you become a one-trick, or you have like hundreds of games on her, you will be able to do a lot on her, and you will be able to take the games. The thing with Camille is she's amazing when you're ahead, she's amazing if you know how to set up plays, because she have a hook shot which is extremely long, and her ultimate keeps people in a cage where they can't get out of, so it's perfect to set up jungle ganks. Now the thing is, if you don't get any ganks, she kinda sucks, you kinda need to play around with the jungler a little bit, and if you only end up playing solo, you're going to have a terrible time. You really need to figure out how to get your junglers top, use the assist pings, set up waves properly, push it in, go hide in the jungle somewhere, go hide, get your junglers to come up, you gank from behind in the top lane, 2 of you, and boom, that's a kill. There's a lot of opportunities this one, but you really have to practice it. Alright, next up we have Gragas, and this one, I guess the boss for fuck's sake, is the guy who made this champion popular. Gragas is, on my tier list, a secret OP. He is super strong, he got an insane regen, he can farm from ranged. It's really hard for most champs to go on him. For example, Jax fighting against the Gragas, Jax goes in towards the Gragas, and Gragas just body slams him out, slap him, uses Q, Jax is slowed, and he just walks away. It's no problem at all. And every time Gragas hits his body slam right now, his cooldown is reduced by a lot. So Gragas tends to just go a full cooldown build, and nothing can stop them. Now the thing is, Gragas doesn't scale that well. He can scale well into team fights depending on team comps, but in most team comps he doesn't scale well if the enemy team gets kinda tanky. But his early mid game is strong enough to make up for it, and his split pushing is absolutely disgustingly strong. Alright, now we're getting into the jungle. The first jungler we have, who is one of the best junglers, is Graves. Graves is a monster in the jungle, and the reason for that is because he farms faster than everybody else. When you play against the Graves, or if you're playing Graves, you should generally try to be levels ahead of the opponent. You need to farm a lot. You're not going to be ganking as much, but you can't neglect ganking completely. You still have to get those ganks off, because you're a jungler after all, right? But the thing with Graves is, once you get that lead and you get into the mid-late game, you're going to destroy people. Because you have higher levels, you have more gold, and you generally have more items than other people. As Graves, you kind of want to play a greedy playstyle where you try and get ahead yourself. If you're pushing out lanes, you take some CS. If you're ganking, you try and get the last hit. You want to be a greedy person, because if you start scaling and you start getting your items, you're going to jungle even faster, you're going to clear everything faster, and you're going to be able to move around the map faster. And then once you get to the mid game, you scale up faster and you'll be able to teamfight much faster. Next up, we have Nidalee. Oof, this champion. So I kind of hate playing with Nidalee, because if she makes a mistake, oof, it's done, you're fucked. But the thing is, Nidalee is extremely good right now. You just have to play very clean and perfect. When you make mistakes, Nidalee falls off really fast and she becomes super useless, but her early game is super strong. If you want to play Nidalee, you really have to learn how to play the early game. You have to learn how to snowball, how to get the advantages, if you can invade on the enemy jungler, because Nidalee can beat a lot of junglers 1v1. And also she's extremely good at doing a prolonged fight. For example, let's say you're ganking bottom, nothing really happens, the enemy jungler ganks bottom as well, and you're just having a prolonged fight where you're throwing spears, healing, throwing spears, healing. As long as you can keep the enemy jungler there, you're going to scale up and you're going to help much more than he is. Alright, and the last one, we're going to have Kayn for the jungle. I think Kayn is really strong. The thing is, it takes a little bit for Kayn to scale because he needs to get his form. But once Kayn gets his form, if it's blue form, he can one-shot enemies. And if you're against squishy enemies, you have a lot of opportunities there. Now, if you're against tanky enemies and he goes red form, you can knock up a lot of people in teamfight. You have insane healing. If they don't have damage, they can't really kill you. So they need to have a lot of damage to actually bring you down. Now, Kayn is not really the best ganker early game. He kind of sucks. He needs to focus on farming, and he needs to focus on getting his form. So there's a lot of problems by playing Kayn, but if you manage to get a good game off the Kayn, well, the enemy's gonna have a rough time. That's all I can promise you. Alright, now we're getting into the interesting lane, which is mid lane. Now in mid lane, I would suggest you guys to play Cassiopeia. Now the reason for Cassiopeia is because her damage is disgusting. She does more damage than anyone else, I think, in the game. And if you get fit, you can literally 1v9 teamfights, so it's no problem. You can literally solo win games by just playing Cassiopeia. Now she is somewhat hard to play. You need to learn your damages, you need to learn when can you when can you combo people down from full health to nothing, or from 80% to nothing. Because you need to know when you can ultimate and then just start killing people. Because Cassiopeia is a champion with a lot of damage, and you have to know how to utilize that damage to truly get those kills off. Next up we have Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is another amazing champion in the mid lane. Now Twisted Fate is the complete opposite from Cassiopeia. The reason Twisted Fate is super good is because he can roam a lot, he doesn't need as much farm as other champions, and also his ultimate is amazing. So generally what you want to do as a Twisted Fate is you push in the wave, you try to shove it, and then you start roaming down. Use your gold card, stun people, get killed. And then once you're level 6, you're going to start using your ultimate to roam as well. The more you can roam on Twisted Fate, the better you're going to do. Now when you're playing Twisted Fate, it's important you understand your team comp and your team's laning phases. So you need to understand, should I snowball top lane or bot lane? Because you're going to go to either one of those. So figure out which lane is going to snowball the most. Let's say you have a Vayne in the bot lane and you have a Marika in the top lane. Well, who's going to snowball more? Probably the Vayne. Therefore, you're just going towards the bot lane, gonna gank bot, get that kill for Vayne, get her ahead, and then she's gonna win the game for you. Your goal is to get side lanes ahead. And same wise, if it's a Camille top or something like a Darius top, you can go top and get kills and dive. Alright, next up we have Syndra, the last mid lane champion that I'll suggest for you guys. Syndra is amazing because she's very versatile, she have amazing burst, she have decent poke, and she's just a safe mid laner that you can always pick, which always works. And now one reason why I think Syndra is especially good is because Syndra can be played both mid and bot lane. She's an extremely good AD carry right now, or bot laner. And having that opportunity of a flex pick just makes so much value to the champion select. If you pick it early, the enemy doesn't know where it goes, they try to counter pick it, you swap it around, now it's another lane, and like, oh god, fuck, we messed up, and now you can counter pick the enemies. It's a huge advantage. You want to try and utilize those kind of small things to get that little bit of extra elo. Alright, now we're getting to the AD carry role. In the AD carry role, I'm going to suggest you guys to pick Ezreal as the #1 guy. Ezreal, if you get slightly ahead, you can 1v9, you're crazy poke, you can become tanky if you want to. You can build however you want, basically. There's a lot of different builds that works with Ezreal. And the thing is, if you get ahead, it's almost impossible for the enemy to catch you. And even if they do, you end up being extremely tanky, so you're going to survive for a long time, which allows your team to come, help up, and maybe you can turn a fight even if you're getting caught as Ezreal. Alright, next up we have Varus. Varus is another AD carry who's completely different from Ezreal. The thing is, Varus is really easy to catch, but Varus' poke is extremely good, and Varus have the opportunity to engage with his ultimate, which is why he's one of the best champions in my opinion, because Varus can ultimate, and now you can catch people off that. Having the opportunity to make plays is really valuable, and the more champions that can make plays in your team comp, the easier it is to make those plays and get ahead. So Varus is a really strong champion right now. Now the thing about Varus is he doesn't scale that well, so you really need to learn how to play him in laning phase, get ahead early, coordinate with your jungler to make those plays with your ultimate, get that lead, and then snowball the game, because you don't want to go to late game. Alright, next up we have Syndra. Syndra is the last AD carry that we suggest. The reason we suggest Syndra is because, again, safe laner, a lot of burst, good poke, and a strong laning phase. And when you get out of the laning phase, Syndra is actually also really, really strong. Now if you do play Syndra AD carry, or in the bot lane, and you have an AP mid laner, it's really important you don't have AP in the top and jungle as well. You need to only pick this champion if you already have some AD in the team. For example, you have a Darius, Camille, or Jax, or you have a Graves, something like that in the other lanes, you'll be fine. You could also have a Talon in mid lane, or a lot of other AD carries that work in mid lane, but just make sure you don't pick a full AP comp, because if you do, you're very likely to lose. Next up, we're going with the support. Well, Yuumi is going to be the first one. 200 years, should have deleted this champion, I don't know what you're doing right, but it's in the game now, and you guys should abuse it for free elo. She's absolutely disgusting with the healing, it's mega overpowered, and she also works extremely well with any carry on your team. So if you have an Ezreal, works really well with Ezreal. You have a Camille, works great with Camille. Jax, yep, perfect. A Graves, sure, got it. A Kayn, whatever, sure, it's great. So you can pick Yuumi and abuse her on almost anything you want. Next up we have Bard. Bard is a little bit different. Bard is overpowered, not because he's good in lane or anything like that, but because again, we have a champion with a lot of play opportunity. So what you can do with Bard is you can push out the lane, you leave the AD carry alone, he just sits and farms, really good with Eswell or Varus because they can farm safely, and then you roam top lane for example, or mid lane, and Bard is extremely good at ganking because he got a ton of damage, he got a lot of CC, he's incredibly fast, and he got his portal so he can move around the map and be wherever he wants to be at an incredible fast rate. And last but not least, we have Lulu as a last support that I'll recommend for you guys. Now, Lulu is really good into go-in comms because he blocks champions. For example, if you have against a Camille or Jax top lane, you Lulu ultimate whoever they go on, and they can't really do much anymore. Same for a lot of other champs that you would be playing against. The thing with Lulu is, you need to have Lulu with a good AD carry. If your AD carry is bad, then there's no point playing Lulu. So you need to make sure your AD carry is strong, it needs to be a good player, it should be an AD carry main, or else you don't want to pick something that's supportive, because it doesn't make any sense. But if you do have that player, for example, if I was playing League of Legends support, and I had Upset or Reckless on my team, and I picked Lulu, I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to ultimate you, protect you, and you're going to carry me. Thank you very much. Alright, that's it for my best champions for solo queue guide. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys liked it, tell me in the comments what you think. And also remember to like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.